All right, how's everybody doing? Warm? It's not quite as bad in here as my classroom last night. Just the AC is not really working in Roop. It's not great. So at least we have seemingly working air conditioning in here, and hopefully that will keep up. So just trying to find the slide we left off on here. Alrighty, so we took way more time on AI than I expected, but I'm cool with that. I think it's a really important thing to talk about, and I'm glad that we discussed it. And the thing we were talking about at the end of class on Wednesday was therapy AI. And so I forget which company it was, but there was a company that was running one of those therapy apps, and it told you were talking to a licensed professional, and they were using AI to do therapy. And so when this came out, people were really up in arms about the ethics of that, right? Part of the ethics of therapy is having informed consent. But unfortunately, this is not the only instance. So the National Eating Disorders Association got rid of their entire helpline staff because they wanted to unionize. And then put a chatbot in place. I think it's supposed to be for like body image coaching, but it's kind of the only 24/7 access you have right now for support. And people were reporting that it was telling them how to lose weight, which is great when you have an eating disorder, right? And the person who developed that chatbot was like, that was not written into my code. So Nita had to add that after she gave it to them. So stuff, even again, if the creators have very good intentions, can end up getting out of control and out of our hands. Alrighty, so one of the problems that arises is, how do we find credible sources? So if you all have to do a paper for a class, or you just want to know something for yourselves, how do you find credible sources? Where are the places that you look to? Yeah. Same. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Google Scholar, highly recommend it. Actually, let me just show y'all real quick, since we can just do it in our window here. I just always Google the word scholar. You can just type scholar.google.com, but I don't know. I get lazy sometimes. And so this allows you to search all peer-reviewed publications. It'll even look at books, dissertations. And so let's say I wanted to look at, since we've been talking about it, AI therapy. See what's out there, right? Oh, whole bunch of stuff about AI and mental health, actually 4 million results about AI and mental health. And the really cool thing about Google Scholar is, let's say, ooh, this looks really interesting. A lot of the times it will have the link to where you can just go right to the PDF. So that can be really, really helpful. The other cool thing you can do with Google Scholar is, let's say there's someone whose work you're really interested in. They can create a profile for themselves, and then all of their stuff is in one place. So I don't know who this person is. She's doing all right, I guess. I think Dr. Ariel has one too. Let me look. Yeah. So again, all his stuff in one place here.
So did you make that book?
Yeah. So it sort of starts collecting them for you, and then you can go in and say, this is me, and associate it. Like he used his VW email as well. And then you can also, sometimes it will mess up. This one is not as bad. Google does a pretty good job. There's another one that I'm forgetting what it's called, like Semantic Scholar or something, that like anytime there's someone whose last name is Myers, it tries to be like, is this you? And I'm like, there's a lot of people whose last name is Myers, right? But yeah, Google does a pretty good job, and so you can tell it to add stuff. And what I really like that it keeps track of is how many people have cited your work. And so here you can see like 336 other people have cited this work by Dr. Ariel. And if we go back to me, this paper I wrote in grad school has been cited almost 1,000 times, right? And I would have no idea if like this metric wasn't there. You can find this other places, but it's just really nice and right there. It's also a good indicator if you're looking, you're like, okay, a lot of scholars in the field say this is something worth looking at, right? And actually, we're working on an updated version of that top paper right now. We're hoping to get it submitted by January. So yeah, so that's a really good resource. What are other resources people use to get credible sources? Yeah. Yeah, databases through our library, and I'm not going to go into those too much because we're going to do that library session with Stephen Leiss. But we have a lot of really great databases that the school pays to access. And so you all can use them for free. Caitlin, did you also have something? Yes. Yeah, JSTOR is a great example for us, like info. What if it's something in the news? Where do y'all go to get credible sources for that? This one's tricky, right? So for me, I'm like, I think a little old school, but I tend to go like newspapers. So the Washington Post, although you have to watch and make sure it's not an opinion article, right? Because opinion articles, they can just say whatever the heck they want. Interestingly, the Post, like the Washington Post and the New York Times are two of the most popular papers in the country, and the Post used to be more conservative. Not so much anymore. So we kind of have to keep that in perspective. So during the Trump administration, I don't know if this had always been their slogan or they just changed it. Either way, they made it more prominent, and their slogan was "Democracy dies in darkness." So that was sort of a protest against the fact that the Trump administration wasn't always that forthcoming with them. So yeah, you can look at newspapers when you get into like cable news networks. A lot of them have biases, right? So for MSNBC, it's going to be more liberal. For Fox News, it's going to be more conservative. Even CNN can have those biases. And part of the problem that happens with the 24-hour news cycle is they've got to just fill that time, right? And so things can get sensationalized and things along those lines. Why are the resources on like databases more credible than like something you saw on Twitter? Yeah. Exactly. Yes, it's a process we call peer review. And typically it's people who are experts in that area of the subfield who review it. And even if you have like an edited book rather than a journal article, that's usually reviewed by the editors, who are typically folks who themselves are expert within the field, right? And so that's why we believe those sources more. Some of the problems with that, though, is that this is a really slow process, right? So it depends on the journal you submit to. But I want to say when I submitted that paper I showed you that has all the citations when I was in grad school, I want to say it took them 6 months to get back to us the first time. And then they asked for a very major revision. So like that paper was my comps paper. So I did that in like 2006, 2007. And it wasn't actually published till 2009. So, you know, it's a slow process. And it's not as catchy or quick as like a tweet, right? So yeah, I have Google Scholar and I have the library on here. We also, and this is unfortunately becoming like a dirty word, but the idea of social emotional literacy or socio emotional learning, what this means, it gets twisted, but what this means is essentially empathy and the ability to read other people's emotions and keep that in mind as you report information or as you sort of interpret information. So a lot of pros here. You can collaborate and share information in various online communities, whether that's a Facebook group or a hashtag on other forms of social media, or you know, just communities build up. So for example, actually two of the reasons I haven't abandoned Twitter yet are academic Twitter, which can be really helpful, and we support each other. And then I'm also part of what's called the Gymternet, which is gymnastics fans, and we keep in touch mostly through Twitter. So those are communities, and you can learn a lot and connect. Cons can be, sometimes those can get toxic. So when I had my daughter, I was in some parent groups. I had to leave those because everything you do is wrong. Like, oh, you're bottle feeding? That's wrong. Oh, you're breastfeeding? That's wrong. Oh, you're co-sleeping? That's wrong. Oh, your baby sleeps in their own room? That's wrong, right? Like everyone's gonna tell you you're doing stuff wrong. And when you're a new parent, it's anxiety provoking. So it was not helpful to me, and I got rid of them. But to get the skill of social emotional literacy, you yourself need to be critical and analytical about what's going on here. And also show some maturity, which again, people older than me don't always show on the internet, right? All right, so this is something called Spot the Troll. If anyone wants to scan the QR code yourself, you can, or if you're in the slides, you can click the link. But I'm gonna walk us through it together. So this is where we are gonna look at different social media accounts and try to determine whether they're fake or not. Are they a troll? Are they a bot, basically? So first profile here. We got Chloe Evans, student from Atlanta, hashtag dead horse. Then we have, but who's responsible? Obama, hashtag dead horse. She's very into this dead horse. Got some quotes from various speakers, things like that. And looks like she joined in June 2014 and has been tweeting ever since. So what do you guys think? Just looking at this profile, would you guess that this person is a real person, or are they a fake person, a bot or a troll? A troll? So someone say troll. Actually, let's do hands again. How many people say troll? All right, and then how many people say real person? Okay, no one's saying real person. Some people aren't sure. So let's say this person's a troll, and that's correct. So this was a Russian-made troll account. Unfortunately, there's a lot of these out there. Russia is trying to undermine the US and particularly our elections through these troll accounts. And they were highly automated effort by what they call the Internet Research Agency. And they're better about it now, unfortunately. So it's not as obvious. So we had the hoax events, like dead horse, right? Oftentimes they have attractive people, particularly attractive women, because they're trying to draw in suggestible young men. All right, so profile 2. This woman's name is Harmony Anderson. She joined in 2019, a college girl who managed to stay conservative, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, America First. This is my second account where I share my political and social views. And so this is her talking about elections being robbed, the illegals in America, retweeting Melania Trump, this is making fun of Biden, things along those lines. So what do we think? Who thinks this one's a troll? Nobody? Who thinks this one's legit? Yeah, people aren't really sure, right? This one's a little harder. Let's say legit. Nope, this is also a troll. Again, Russian bot. And so She poses as a young woman who has very strong political opinions and sets herself up in direct opposition to an extreme version of people on the other side. And so here you can see just from profile 1 to profile 2 how much they've advanced. I mean, because just look at the number of followers she has, right? Oftentimes bots have 0 or 1 followers. So they have gotten pretty good about it. So there isn't that much personal info. There's nothing about her family, school, work, friends, pets, houseplants. And she said it was her second account, right? So that like throws you off even more. Haha. Right? And so they retweet prominent people within the movement. All right, so now we have Christopher Warwick. He's this dude. He has 94 friends. I think this is, yeah, Facebook profile. And this is, you know, standing against different types of liberal, whatever, Chick-fil-A, having fun on the tractor with his kiddo, religious iconography, went to a place for lunch. Actually, those are pretty good prices. And something about the COVID virus. So what do we think? How many people think this guy is a troll? All right, so more people seem to be thinking he might be legit. Yeah, this is a real person. He is an actual husband and father. They know him personally. They probably asked his permission to use his profile. And some of the things that give you hints about that are like pictures of his family, pictures of where he was going to lunch, right? Like things that ground him in the real world. Alrighty, so now we have an Instagram account, Power to Women. So if this makes you angry and you're okay with this, it's not about the flag. We've got some Bernie Sanders retweets here. Oh my God, it was so lit. That's very 2019. You know, things about abortion, things along those lines. No personal information. What do folks think? This troll count? How many people think this might be trolling? And then how many people? Okay, so we got a couple. How many people think this might be legit? Yeah, people are kind of like, I don't know, maybe. So let's say troll and see what we got. Yeah. So it was identified by Meta, we could say now, as part of a network of 50 Instagram accounts they suspended. They come from the Internet Research Agency, and so they're showing they're doing it on both sides of the aisle. There's no clear organizer, no one tied to running the group. They ask for polarization. All right, so here we have another Twitter profile. Again, lots of followers, lots of following. Daughter, sister, proud Black American. I tend to get political. Comments about Corona, comments about Michelle Obama, tweets about Trump being a Russian asset, and you know, things about conservative ideals. So who thinks this person is a troll? Okay, so let's say that this person's legit. Wrong. This is another troll account. This is another one from the IRA. Pretends to be a left-leaning Black woman, a common tactic among trolls. The strategy is to engage with the Black community and other left-leaning users, gain followers among those users, and then use her influence to manipulate users' conversations and push particular political agendas. So mimicking users who are part of the community online, and then fanning the flames of things. All right, we got 3 more here. All right, here is a scholar, journalist, and activist who works as an assistant professor in Rutgers. And so he's tweeting about statistics and budgets. and some political things as well about January 6th. Still being critical of people on the left as well, and talking about health disparities, right? So I'm gonna guess for this one because I'm thinking this guy's legit. Yeah, and this would be easy to figure out, right? You just go to Rutgers and you Google him on their website, right? Oh, he's a real person. And having the identifiable information helps. And he also is talking about things in his area. All right, so now we have Nevada Blue Line, looking at peace officers. So we have memes about supporting police officers and things along those lines. And again, I'm gonna randomly, I don't remember, it's been a minute since I looked at these. Let's say this is a troll. Yeah, it actually is. And so disinformation attacks multiple perspectives and many cultural conflicts. And this illustrates that. So again, you would think, why we gotta have a Blue Lives Matter thing, but they're just trying to rile us up and divide us and make us weaker, honestly. And then being diversive. And they did a lot of them within swing states to try to sway the elections. All right, last one. This guy, Mike Adams, is the health ranger. He is a outspoken consumer health advocate, talking about pesticides. These are the vegetables that are good for you. Talking about, just cracking up because like this happens to me too. Has shared things that are now private, but wheatgrass literally has the ability to turn gray hair back to its natural color. So how many people think this guy's a troll? All right, we got a couple. How many people think this guy's legit? All right. Yeah, more people are thinking this person's legit. Yeah. He's a real person. He's a founder and owner of a website, Natural News. And he, unfortunately, this is something we see quite a lot among health influencers, particularly those without any kind of background in medicine or dietitian or nutrition. They're just kind of trying to get people to buy stuff that they're making. So yeah, misinformation for profit. If content's not available, or like I said, that happens too. So we got 6 out of 8. This makes us smarter than we were. Good for us. Yay. Okay, so this one is a little bit different. This one is a sort of choose your own adventure where we get to be the trolls. Alrighty, so from fake news to chaos, how bad are you? We're trying to get followers. Alrighty. Hi there, good to see you. We say, hey, you're here in the position of disinformation and fake news tycoon, is that correct? I'm just gonna pick the most trolly ones. That's right. You're probably frustrated about something, right? Aren't we all? You can get started by using Twitter. Post a frustrated tweet. So, this government is a complete and utter failure. Resign, losers. Tweet this one. Oh, I got more followers. And followers means more influence. What do I do next? We're not very credible yet. So this is like a credibility meter. To gain some real influence, you need to raise your credibility. So I say, I'm ready. Would you like to take part in a study? Not this time, just because I've done this before. I don't want to be a multiple person and like multiple the same person. So let's see, we could fake an official Twitter account, or we can impersonate someone important. Let's fake an official Twitter account because we can just buy that blue check now. As your president, I have issued an executive order to rename Canada to North Dakota. Hashtag you got annexed. Okay, let's say not this one. So it said, let's say we're impersonating NASA with an umlaut. Meteorite alert. Be safe. This can scare people shirtless. I fooled some Twitter users, so I'm getting a little more followers. Let's check their reactions. So other people are saying, watch out, be safe, pray for the USA. This looks serious. I hope this isn't the apocalypse. Alrighty. And so again, I'm gonna go the most trolly way possible. So I'm gonna say we're feeling pretty good, even though personally I would have moral objections to this, right? What's the next step? I want to go pro. Where do you begin? I feel like we need to start a blog. Nope. Okay. We gotta go to the news site. Let's pick a name. The best words. Sure. Let's go with it. I am editor-in-chief, so I am all good to go. Just joined the fight against mainstream media. Wow. Good news. Wow. Alrighty. Hooray. So now we have a fake news empire. And so then people aren't looking at sources. It's pretty easy, right? And I'm not going to go through all of them. Y'all can play with these later. But if you go through them, it walks you through. We'll do a little bit of emotion just because it's one of the most psychological. But it'll show you all these different things you can do in order to manipulate people. The lives of ants, the joy of this routine. You can be like, no, not so much. I mean, this would get a lot of people to click, probably, right? So let's say, yeah. Oh, nobody cared. I was wrong. So let's do emotional content. Let's talk about headlines. Scientists, climate change could have a serious negative impact on our way of life. Let's attack this. It's a total hoax. All right. I know, right? So how am I going to do it? I'll get emotional. So I can make a meme. I feel like that's going to be more, God, this is great. Let's do this. Everybody wants babies to be warm. And now scientists are demanding that babies freeze. All right, so I'm getting more followers, not necessarily more credibility though, right? All right, so we want to go for fear. Fear is a really good way to manipulate people. And I know that sounds so weird coming from a clinical psychologist, but it's true. All right, let's post this. The content doesn't matter. Yeah, so I got through emotion pretty quickly because, again, unfortunately, as psychologists, we know how to manipulate people. Okay, so if you want to play with this more, you can kind of do it. It will respond in different ways if you are writing different things. So this, I think it's from your book, is a really helpful diagram of just looking at what we need to look at for digital literacy versus what we've always been taught for traditional literacy. So, right, when we find information in traditional literacy, we're just gonna read it over, right? Whereas in digital literacy, we're gonna be like skimming more, we're gonna be vetting things. In traditional literacy, you might have been taking notes, like paper and pencil. Whereas in digital literacy, we're like making links, right? And how I make my PowerPoint stuff. They often have embedded videos and links and things like that. And so like if we are creating an online article, we're gonna have data visualization and dynamic storytelling. The Lily Alliance, which is a subset of the Washington Post, just had a really powerful story a couple weeks ago where they did it like a graphic novel of the story of this woman from the Philippines and brought here to be like put on display essentially for the World's Fair, and she died, and like the Smithsonian took part of her brain without like asking anyone's permission, right? That this is dynamic and we'll be learning. You're teaching yourself, although we're trying to teach you now too, right? And that digital literacy is always going to be changing. So this is a question for you all. What experiences have you had in other classes in terms of instruction about or discussions about digital literacy in any subject that you've taken classes in? Yeah. Right, yeah, yeah. So true. All right, I saw a couple other hands. Who else said something? Yeah.
I would say, I was, preschool, we focus on, like, little space and girls. That was, growing up at that time. So I remember, I think what class it was, so the computer class, and I was like,
That's awesome. Yeah, as I told you all when we did my addressing model, I am an elder millennial. So I have like this really weird growing up experience where like everything was pretty much analog and then we started to learn digital stuff. So like the first computer I ever learned anything on was an Apple IIe, which had the floppy disks that were like this big. And we would do things on them, but like we, of course, we're not digital literacy, we were learning to type and things like that. So like the world has changed, and I love that y'all are learning that at a younger age because kids have access to it at a younger age, right? Like my kiddo likes to watch YouTube videos. She knows how to like manipulate my phone in ways I don't to get the video to go full screen and things like that. Any other experiences folks have had, maybe in English classes, history classes, natural science courses, or are people just not really talking about it? And that might be happening, right? But professors are trying to figure out and sort of wrap our heads around how do we address it? So these are the skills that we're thinking about teaching for digital literacy. So find and vet information online, check, we went over, you guys know how to do this, see problems from digital perspectives. We just looked at some of that, yeah.
this one earlier, I think from my I've learned more about like the importance that middle school and school that the only like now only thing more like the now we
Yeah, and it's like there's still so many other dangers out there, right? Unfortunately, online predators and things along those lines. Yeah, I think that's such a good point that like we probably need to reassess addressing it in high school. Like, for example, revenge porn or sending nudes to somebody. Depending on your jurisdiction, even if you send a nude image of yourself to somebody else and you're under 18, you can technically be tried or charged with child pornography trafficking, and have to register as a sex offender, right? Like we should be teaching that stuff so people know. So if anyone has younger siblings in high school or middle school, kind of give them a heads up about that. It hasn't been used that much, but it can happen. Interesting. That's so interesting. Well, and good that they're, because I mean, sometimes the parents need to be informed too, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Basically trying to teach them
Oh my gosh, I'll have to look that up because that one did not bleed over into Instagram Reels, which is where I get my TikToks because I'm old. But yeah, that does sound like, yeah, I mean, because here's the thing, we want to be sex positive, right? And we don't want to discourage people from expressing their sexuality. But at the same time, we want to protect people from stuff like that happening, right? Where people's nudes get away from them. I watched a Netflix documentary over the summer where like people literally hacked people's Gmails and got into their like cloud that way. And then that's how they got their pictures. Like these people had literally never sent their nudes to anybody, but people hacked in through their email and got them that way and then posted them online. Right. And unfortunately, our society still sort of believes that whoever picture is posted, it's their fault. Right. Well, I would never take a picture like that. And so we blame the victim. That's really problematic. And people can like lose their jobs for stuff like that. Yeah, and you already talked about how like maybe after middle school, you're not getting much of this. You have to become self-directed learners, right? You have to kind of teach yourself this. Figure out digital solutions. Learn software quickly, right? They're forever updating things. As part of the national organization I'm in, I'm like the treasurer / webmaster for my special interest group. And like just going in to edit our website yesterday, they had changed how you do it. And I had to click through like 5 more things, right? So like you have to learn to do this. And then designing and creating digital solutions is a lot of what people are doing now, whether it be through an app, right? All these startups, things along those lines. So these are skills that you'll continue to learn. So we had an article about coding. So what were people's reactions to the idea about coding? We tend to think of coding as like very techy and something that, you know, maybe we as more social sciencey people would never have to learn. What are people's thoughts about the concept of coding being more part of digital literacy as a whole? Yeah.
I don't know if this is like not we did university coding, but it just reminded me we were talking about data. My friend, he does coding and we actually use AI.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's definitely getting easier.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, it's certainly never something that I thought about learning, but it can be really approachable. So when I was growing up, logo was a really big thing here. Go ahead and open this. And so like I was doing this and I didn't even realize I was coding. It was literally just, I don't know if they have any screenshots of it. Yeah, you could integrate it with Legos, but yeah, they don't have any screenshots of the original, but it was just a little turtle on the screen and you learned commands to get the turtle to do things. And like, you didn't even realize you were coding. You were just like, this is a game. This is fun, right? But so like there's basic coding. And so this is a little mock-up of what it used to look like. And again, this was on the Apple IIe's, so very fun. And here you go. Here you can see the little turtle moving around based on the codes that you gave it. So it doesn't have to be intimidating, right? And there are whole organizations trying to expand this because unfortunately we know still for marginalized groups, women, people of color, things along those lines, the STEM fields can seem inaccessible. And sometimes they're pushed out because of the harassment that they get. And so Girls Who Code is a nonprofit that does clubs and summer programs. And again, tries to get people interested who might not otherwise be interested. There are coding toys, which is really cool. So, oh, they must have changed this link. Unfortunately, it looks like they ended their blog, but there are different toys where you can code. And here is why many psychologists are learning to code. So the new freeware and like statistics program that a lot of people are using is called R. Totally free, open, and any analysis you're doing rather than like a point and click, you're coding it. I have not learned R. I should probably learn R. I'm sure it's not actually that intimidating, especially since some of the stuff I do in SPSS, I actually have to code because there's not a drop-down menu. So it is practical to learn. All right, so now we're going to talk about a test for source legitimacy, and I cannot take credit for this. Someone else developed it. But they on purpose called it the crap model. Because we're trying to weed out the crap. So the first letter C is we're looking at the timeliness of the information. You want to look at when was the information published or posted, right? I don't know if you all have run into this, but people will post articles from like 6 years ago as if they're happening now, right? And get everybody worked up. And then people look at the date and they're like, wait, this isn't happening now, right? If it is from 6 years ago, has it been revised or updated? Is it current or out of date for your topic? If you're looking at something with links, are the links functional? So how relevant is it for your needs? Does it relate to your topic or answer your question? Who is the intended audience? Right? So let's say your intended audience is just your professor. You're writing a paper, right? So that would be pretty low key, pretty easy to figure out what voice you should be writing in. But, you know, if your intended audience is readers of a college newspaper, you're going to write it in a different voice, right? And you're going to look at different sources. We want to make sure we're looking at the information on an appropriate level, right? So unless we're analyzing representations in children's books, we're probably not going to use a picture book to write our college paper, right? But we also want to make sure it's not so advanced that we can't understand it and therefore we can't explain that source, right? Have you looked at a variety of sources before determining this is the one you will use? And then just thinking about, you know, even if you're not writing a paper, if you're just like retweeting something, would you be comfortable using this source for a research paper? And then you want to look at authority. Who is the source of the information? So who's the author, who published it, who's the source that they're quoting, who is the sponsor of it? Do we have the author's credentials or affiliations? What are the author's qualifications to write on this particular topic? Again, like I have credentials, but if you ask me to write about even a different topic within psychology, if you ask me to write about like attachment theory, I am not the person to go to for that, right? In our department, it would be Dr. Martorell. But if you asked me to write about body image or gender issues or clinical issues, I could do that. Do we have any contact information for the person, or is it completely anonymous? Does the URL reveal anything about the author or the source? So, you know, .com is the most common when we see that's commercial. .edu is educational. .gov is the US government. .org are nonprofits. Or .net are the networks, right? And so not always, but at least in the 90s and early 2000s, .net were often like not credible sources, put it that way. Then you're going to look at the accuracy, the reliability, the truthfulness, and the correctness of this content. So where does the information come from? Is it supported by evidence? Has the information been reviewed or refereed, even if it's, you know, a newspaper article, you know, an editor in theory would have looked it over. Can you verify any of the information in another source or from personal knowledge? Does the language or tone seem biased and free of emotions? Are there spelling, grammar, other typos, right? Yeah, that can be a big heads up. Purpose. So the reason the information exists. So why is this out there, right? If it's a scientific article, it should be to convey my results and, you know, expand on the field, make scientific discoveries, right? If it's something like a textbook, it's to inform or to teach, right? If it's something like a magazine, or a newspaper, it might be to sell. If it's something like 24-hour news or Entertainment Tonight, it's to entertain while giving information. Or sometimes it's to persuade you to try to, they want you to think what they think. Are the authors or sponsors making their intents or purpose clear? So whenever I present at a conference or get a paper published, I have to declare whether I have any conflicts of interest. Is the information fact? Is it opinion? Is it propaganda? We do unfortunately have a lot of propaganda that goes on. Does the point appear objective and impartial? And what biases might be there? Political, ideological, cultural, religious, institutional, or personal. And these are some of the works for that particular PowerPoint. Alrighty, we got like 4 minutes left, so let's just start the weekend a little early, and then we'll start the next chapter on Monday. If anyone has any questions, let me know. You can come up to me personally. If not, enjoy your weekend, stay cool and hydrated, and I will see you all Monday morning.